Ever wondered why we use the term mesmerize? Today we unravel the captivating story behind it. Imagine the 18th century, a time of grandeur, exploration, and groundbreaking discoveries. Among the many personalities of this era, one stands out, a German physician named Franz Mesmer. Mesmer was a man of unique theories, a man whose beliefs and practices would eventually give us the term mesmerize. Mesmer believed in the power of the planets and their gravitational pull. He theorized that this cosmic force influenced human health, a concept that was groundbreaking, albeit controversial. Mesmer wasn't satisfied with merely defining this force. He went a step further, refining his theory into what he called animal magnetism. According to Mesmer, an invisible fluid flowing within our bodies reacts to the laws of magnetism. He proposed that our health depended on the harmony of this fluid flow. So he developed a range of treatments to enhance health by establishing a more balanced fluid movement. These treatments were nothing short of extraordinary, some of them involving putting his patients into a trance-like state. However, Mesmer's theories did not sit well with the medical fraternity of his time. Physicians and experts labeled him a fraud, dismissing his theories as nothing more than pseudoscience. Yet, Mesmer's name refused to fade into the obscurity of forgotten history. Instead, it found a new life, a new form, and a new meaning. From the name of this 18th century physician emerged a term that we use so casually today, mesmerize. This word, derived from Mesmer's name, means to captivate or hypnotize, much like what Mesmer aimed to achieve with his unusual treatments. So, the next time you feel mesmerized by something, remember the intriguing story of Franz Mesmer, a man whose name lives on long after his theories were dismissed. A man who, despite being labeled a fraud, continues to capture our attention in the word mesmerize. Despite being labeled a fraud, Mesmer's name lives on, capturing our attention in the word mesmerize. Next up, we dial into the history of a unit we often use to measure sound, the decibel. Now let's take a moment and think about the loudness of sounds around us. From the gentle hush of the evening breeze to the roar of a jet engine, there's a wide range of sound intensities we experience daily. But how do we quantify this? Enter the decibel, a unit that measures the intensity of sound. The louder the sound, the higher its decibel rating. It's a common term in our everyday life, yet few know its origin. The bell in decibel isn't just a random collection of letters. It's a tribute to a man whose invention revolutionized communication. Alexander Graham Bell, the inventor of the telephone. Yes, that's right. This unit of sound measurement is a shout-out to Bell himself. So, the next time you adjust your volume, remember, you're using a term that rings back to the inventor of the telephone. Ever been called a maverick? Let's roam into the history of this term. Picture this, the mid-19th century Texas. Enter Samuel A. Maverick, a lawyer by trade who unexpectedly becomes a cattle rancher. Maverick, however, wasn't interested in the ranching business, so he left his cattle unbranded and let them freely wander the Texan plains. Over time, Maverick began to refer to these unbranded, free-roaming cattle. Fast forward to today, and the term maverick has evolved once again. Now, it's used to describe a person who acts independently, often breaking away from the herd to think or act differently. So next time someone calls you a maverick, remember Samuel A. Maverick and his unbranded cattle. You're not just a rule breaker or a freethinker. You're part of a term with a rich and roaming history. From unbranded cattle to independent thinkers, Maverick truly has a roaming origin. Ready for a noteworthy story? Let's tune into the history of the saxophone. This captivating instrument has a rich history, steeped in creativity and innovation, all thanks to one man, Adolphe Sax. Born in 1814, Sax was a Belgian inventor and musician who held a profound fascination for acoustics. His father, Charles Joseph Sax, was an instrument maker himself, sparking young Adolphe's interest in the field. Over the years, Sax's passion for sound led him to experiment with various musical instruments, leading him to his most famous invention. In the mid-19th century, Sax found himself in the heart of France's vibrant musical scene. It was here, in 1846, that he patented a new musical instrument that would leave a lasting imprint on the world of music, the saxophone. This instrument was unique, a hybrid of sorts, combining the mechanics of a woodwind instrument with the power and range of brass. The saxophone was initially designed for use in military bands and orchestras. Sax believed that his creation would fill a void in the tonal qualities between the woodwinds and brass in military bands. And he was right. The saxophone's distinctive sound was quickly adopted by the French army, adding a new depth to their musical performances. But the saxophone didn't stop at military bands. Its captivating sound and versatile range soon caught the attention of musicians around the world. From the jazz clubs of America to the concert halls of Europe, the saxophone started to make its mark. Today, this instrument is a staple in various musical genres, from classical and jazz to pop and rock. Sax's contribution to the musical world extended beyond the saxophone. He also made significant improvements to other instruments and even invented a few more. However, it's the saxophone that remains his most enduring legacy. So, the next time you hear a saxophone, remember Adolphe Sax, the man who orchestrated its creation. A craving a nutty story? Let's crack open the history of macadamia nuts. These creamy, rich kernels that we often associate with the tropical paradise of Hawaii actually have their roots in the rugged terrain of Australia. Like many good things in life, they owe their name to a friendship. In the mid-19th century, Dr. Ferdinand von Mueller, the director of the Royal Botanical Gardens and National Herbarium of Victoria, discovered a tree bearing delectable nuts. This tree was indigenous to Australia, thriving in its unique climate and soil. But what to call this new botanical wonder? Dr. Mueller decided to honor a close friend and esteemed colleague, John Macadam. Macadam was a celebrated chemist, a dedicated medical teacher, and a respected politician. Mueller named the genus of this nut-bearing tree Macadamia, a fitting tribute to a man of Macadam's caliber. The name caught on, and the nut it represented began to travel. It journeyed across the Pacific, finding a new home in the volcanic soil of Hawaii. There, the macadamia nut not only grew but thrived, eventually becoming a symbol of Hawaiian agricultural success. But no matter how far the macadamia nut traveled, it always carried a piece of its origins with it. The name macadamia is a constant reminder of an Australian tree, a Victorian botanist, and a friendship that left a lasting legacy. But the journey of the macadamia nut doesn't end there. It found its way into our kitchens and our hearts. It's in our cookies, our chocolates, and our healthy diets. It's a small, crunchy testament to the power of friendship and the unexpected ways that relationships can shape the world. So the next time you enjoy a macadamia nut, remember, it's a taste of friendship and camaraderie from down under. It's a reminder that something as small as a nut can carry a big story, a story of discovery, friendship, and a journey across the world. Brace yourself for an explosive history. It's time to discover the origin of the term shrapnel. Picture this. Late 18th century, a British artillery officer named Henry Shrapnel finds himself in the midst of war. He develops a weapon with a devastating impact. Instead of a traditional cannonball, shrapnel's invention is filled with small shot. Upon explosion, these projectiles scatter, causing extensive damage. This anti-personnel weapon is a game-changer on the battlefield. Despite its brutal nature, it's an impressive innovation. This creation earns shrapnel a unique place in history, and the scattered projectiles become known as shrapnel. Over time, the term expands to include fragments of shell casing or any debris scattered by an explosive charge. The next time you hear shrapnel, remember it's more than just fragments. It's a piece of military history. To wrap things up, let's crunch into the history of a beloved snack, the graham cracker. This crispy delight we all know and love was the brainchild of Sylvester Graham, a 19th century clergyman. Graham wasn't just a man of the cloth, he was an advocate for health, and his regimen was quite fascinating. He promoted coarsely ground wheat flour, believed in the benefits of cold showers and hard mattresses, and was a staunch supporter of homemade bread. Oh, and alcohol? Absolutely not on his list. But among his many contributions to health, his most enduring legacy is undoubtedly the graham cracker. Invented in 1829, this humble cracker has since become a staple in kitchens around the world. Whether it's in your lunchbox, part of a delicious s'more, or the crust of your favorite pie, the graham cracker is a testament to Graham's dedication to health. So the next time you munch on a graham cracker, remember, it's a bite of health history.